welcome to Pensantes. In this episode, we have Aaron, who's a passionate journalist, is in a good place in life, and loves his cats, Jones and Cosmo. This one, you pretty much have to like cinnamon and orange.
I'm going to take that. I accidentally poured you the glass or the mug without the handle, so.
I'll just use my straw.
Yeah, I adopted them together, and to be honest, Brian, like it's kind of interesting to see them like interact, because yeah, they are siblings.
Learned English watching Two and a Half Men, Friends, and then some Family Guy.
Hell yeah. Okay. I want to go to Portland someday. In Nacogdoches, Texas, which is the oldest town in Texas, so they say. There's arguments about that.
Yeah.
However, I will say, and my parents moved to Galveston after they retired, so that's kind of like a different kind of thing. However, to find out about Portland, I can say three things. One is, I was an exchange student, Brazil. I lived in Sao Paulo. Like I said, the journalism industry was crumbling. Wasn't really a good like kind of industry to, try to build a future in. So I want to go to law school. And I was like, well, like the most beautiful place I've ever been is Oregon in Bend. And so I was like, I'll go to law school in Portland, a Brazilian food cart that I go to and get feijoada and stuff. And I'll order in Portuguese. And
Miss Eloisa?
Yes!
Wow,
yes, Miss
wow.
Eloisa.
Yes.
Miss Eloisa. I love her. English is your second language.
Second, yes.
You're very fluent.
I used to sound like Borat. And then it slowly faded.
The host of Survivor, my favorite TV show. And then Kramer from Seinfeld, because he's kind of mentally ill in a way. Jones is the hero cat in the movie Alien, the orange cat, and Jones is kind of like he's like a hero. I adopted them together, and I would say interesting to see them like interact, because yeah, they are siblings.
Yeah.
But you can see that sometimes they get in disagreements, and I'm always like, what are you guys arguing about? Like, I don't understand. Like sometimes they get in fights and stuff, and I'm always like, just chill out, bro. Time constraint I have is I'm supposed to go see a movie after 7, so. Brian, by the way, speaking of shoes, look at this. Speaking of Reddit, which someone posted on Reddit that they were selling these shoes. I don't really care about Puma that much, but he was like, I'm selling these like 12 pairs of amazing Puma shoes for $200, and I was like, I'm gonna take them all. There's a fan that spreads the heat around.
You might just be made for camera.
I appreciate that compliment.
Yeah, I don't have a good right profile.
I don't know. You seem very stylish to me. Like the earring.
What's your relationship with butter?
With butter?
Yes.
Huh. Interesting. I would say that I don't have too much of a relationship with butter. Like I don't care that much. Sardines, like tinned fish. Like I really love. Actually, speaking of butter, I would say that when I put butter on toast, I would also use, I also put sardines on top of that. But I like going to Texas. I wouldn't want to live there. That's a beautiful way to articulate that. This is a big parentheses.
How do you find out about the existence of Portland? How do you end up here? Você fala português?
Fala pouquinho. I feel like the South is misunderstood, especially up here. Like you get a lot of kind of stereotypes about the South, and I don't think those are exactly fair stereotypes. Like I know a lot of lovely, interesting, and open-minded people from the South. I do not want to hang out full time in Texas, but going for a couple weeks, I'm down.
So yeah.
Do they have Seinfeld in El Salvador? Second time I became aware of Portland is I'm a reporter for like newspapers. All the reporters who wanted to like make it big, so called, they would try to make it to Bend. Crescent City, so many miles. Portland, so many more miles. Probably 5 hours away.
Wow.
And I was like, I want to go to Portland someday. Super. I do wish that I could like fucking jam out like Bombo Stereo or something. Like I want to I would love to be like part of a synth duo or something. That would be cool. Yeah. Okay. I eventually did end up working at the newspaper in Bend. Journalism industry was crumbling. Wasn't really a good like kind of industry to try to build a future in.
Yeah.
So I want to go to law school, and like the most beautiful place I've ever been is Oregon. When I worked in Bend, and so I was like, I'll go to law school in Portland, and so I have very close family relationships with my siblings. I love to hear about sibling stuff. Like I have drama with my siblings. Like I always like love to hear about what's going on.
How do you feel about your neighbors?
Brian, I wish that we could go outside with this. Jonesy, what are you doing out there? Just as there is a lore to my life to getting to Portland, there's a lore about this house.
Really?
I used to live upstairs with a neighbor, with a roommate.
How many floors?
There's 3 floors in this house.
Uh-huh.
There's also a 3rd floor, which also has 2 bedrooms. I lived upstairs with my neighbor. Severe alcoholic. Like, dude, I got a ping pong studio out there, like it's a sweet spot. As soon as I moved here, I was like, I want to stay here. It took about 3 or 4 years to force them all out and for me to claim the basement spot. Yeah. But it was literally like Game of Thrones, basically. Neighbors across the street over there, like who I hate, like we hated each other. Not hated, I won't say hated, but like they always like, I'll have birthday parties or something on the patio and they'll always like kind of get mad or whatever. One day, I went to a show at Holocene. Have you at Holocene? And we were like, we're not so different after all. And then like now we get along pretty good. And then I have another neighbor. Well, she moved actually, and I dated her, and it went way south. And I'm glad Cosmo has asthma. Sometimes he does this. It's okay, baby.
Episodes?
Probably like 45 seconds. I've taken him to the vet and they're just like, well, it's incurable.
The whole
interesting
building.
That's such an interesting question. I've thought about that before because would you believe that I've never even been on the 3rd floor. And I'm friends with my neighbors. And she said that they had an issue with squirrels in the attic, right? And I was like, what is the attic like? So y'all went up to the attic. And she's like, yeah.
With
exactly.
Keys,
Yeah, totally.
Dust
everywhere. Yeah, dust everywhere. Who knows? Fucking like scary shit. She said apparently like they came up there and killed the squirrels.
Oh.
And she's a vegan, so she felt sad about that.
Yeah.
Would you believe, and I even referenced this before, when I first moved to Portland, I did not live in this house. I moved to a houseboat.
Yeah.
On the Willamette.
Oh.
Craigslist.
What was that like?
The reason I'm bringing it up is because there was a similar kind of rodent issue. These were beavers.
Oh.
And would you believe that like you could hear the beavers gnawing at night underneath the houseboat? There's a, how would you say? There's the floor, but then underneath the floor, there's kind of like a subsection which divides the floor and the subsection, and then there's the water in the living room. And you pull the hatch up, and you look down there. You think Jones is big. Those beavers are fucking large. Like, they're really scary. And you can see their beady red eyes. Like, if you... Come here, babe. And they had to call the beaver guy.
You think they came from Beaverton? What's your favorite quality about yourself?
I would say my relationship with my family.
Something you want to acquire.
I can tell you exactly what it is. It's almost, well, I wouldn't say it's related to exactly what you said, but it's similar, I guess, in just that it's like, something you want to change, which is the underlying premise. But I'm fucking lazy, dude. Like, I wish, like, I want to choose the former. And I wish that I had a more optimistic and like ambitious drive about me,
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I like my life. I think like, man, I could have done that. I could have been doing something here, But at the same time, sometimes things happen and I'm like, geez, I could be out there like working harder. And like and that's kind of like it to circle back about why you asked like why I would be interested in doing this interview.
Yeah.
I respect that about you, that you're out there doing this right now. Like that's a cool thing.
Because I do find people interesting. That's the
Hell yeah. I grew up in East Texas, Bible Belt, like hardcore Republican, these days MAGA people, Christian. I went to church 3 days a week. Like I know like what that world is like.
Yeah.
And then, I fucking went to law school here and I did a bunch of journalism jobs in between for a while. So, and I also grew up in Australia. So like I don't want to make it sound like I'm bragging or something. A slight understanding.
Yeah.
There's some people like maybe who grew up only here don't have of people who grew up only in Texas, or people who grew up in Texas don't have of people who grew up here. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm sure like that's very useful in certain situations, but like when you're trying to just like talk to people and like understand people, it helps to be a little fluid in like what you're talking about and not be so defensive about a certain point of view, because no point of view is like perfectly correct. And I will say one other thing is that I will never date anyone again and I will never vote for anyone again who has not done psychedelic drugs. Like I feel like there should be a rule that like you at least need to do at least one mushroom trip to like open up your mind a little bit to kind of what reality
at least
can
a
be.
microdose.
Something. Exactly. Like I think that's an important thing, like not advocating for like, any drug policy or whatever, but I'm just thinking like,
or what do you think your role is in the world that you live in? So just from your perspective, your own role.
Tough question, Brian. Cooperative areas of society that like we can't help what happens on a on the fucking international or federal stage, like what are we gonna do?
You can influence,
but we can influence our own community.
Yes.
And like to create these small communities and like do our best and do our kindest and do our like and help most helpful and like present our talents in these small areas of like influence. I think that's probably like should be the future. I hope it is.
Yeah.
Where is everybody? Like all of a sudden like the social network had like decreased, because when we were living with 10 people, like everyone had friends over all the time and stuff. So it was always very active where I was like completely engaged and like everything was working out for me. I would want to be more involved. And like my ideal thing would be like to like try to like engage in like a political system and like try to make it work, But then there's a part of me like these days that I'm just like, especially as a journalist too. I started living with like 2 people and it was like kind of a much more quiet and I won't say shallow, but at least just like inactive kind of existence. I don't know. I've got like my projects that I want to do with the house and stuff. And like, it's nice living alone. And also like, I'm friends with the neighbors upstairs now that I push the enemies out, just cause it's like, it's so nice to just like come home and like not have anyone around, and you can just like sit right here next to the fireplace and like, you know, read my book or something.
Yeah.
And they're always like, wow, you got a big one. You're probably like gonna break that step. Where would I like my life to go? I would say that I would like to find a lifelong partner, you know, like, and, you know, I've had kind of, how would you say, like, ventures into that area, you know, like I've had long relationships before. Like I broke up with, or I didn't break up, she actually dumped me, but that was like, we had like an 8-year long relationship, you know, like I recently got out of a longer relationship, you know, like I would like to have a partner in this life. As far as like kids and stuff, I don't know. That sounds a little scary to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not totally against it, but like, no offense to my former partners or anything, or, you know, like, I'm just saying, like, they become very, do I want to be living alone forever? Probably not. But then I like living alone. I don't know. You'll have to come back to me in a couple of years.
How well do you think you know yourself?
I like to think that I know a certain version of myself. So to any future partners out there that watch this video, like, I'm not saying this is exactly how I feel.
There's going to be at least one or two.
Going through the motions, and I feel much more flexible and like capable when I'm on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And say that it's not their fault, it's my fault for not presenting that as something I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yes, I do think like a couple people in my past that, I mean, I don't want to like play the blame game or anything, but I think it was probably like on me to say that I wanted to do that, and it just like, I don't know, maybe I didn't feel comfortable doing it, or I don't know, I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
it's probably something to think about. But in the meantime, I will say, Brian, I'm not lonely. I got my fish, I got my cats, I got my video games, I got my porch, you know, like, so like in the same time, like I love
you have a sweet life.
I love living alone too. So
I am concerned about your movie.
What time is it?
Almost 7.
Yeah, I gotta go because it's like 7. My movie's at 7:30. And you're a great interviewer.
They made a blunder. So smooth. It was perfect. I forgot to turn on the mics, so I lost 25 minutes of it.
That sucks.
So
did you tell him?
No.
You didn't admit it?
He has. I realized it when I got home at night. I guess a final question for you. What's the most beautiful thing in your life right now?
There's one thing I would say, but it's too embarrassing to say on camera, so I can't say it. Be cliche, and I don't want to be lame. The most beautiful thing in my life, beyond the thing that I can't say, is coming home every day to my beautiful cats and just like being able to cuddle up with them and like care for them and sleep with them and just like cuddle with them. And they're so sweet and they're like such gentle souls. Mm-hmm. And I just like love like talking to them. And I always think that like no matter what else happens or like anything, like I have my best friends who are my cats. Like sometimes I'll sit there and I'll just cry, like thinking about how much I love them.
Yeah.
Even though they annoy the shit out of me sometimes.
Yeah, photography's always been something like I've never like. He lays out on the sidewalk out there, and like dogs will cross the street.